guys, welcome to episode 1 of our new modern video series where we pick a deck in the format, run it through some games on Magic Online, and talk about strategy, sideboarding, specific lists, super secret tech, lots of good stuff like that. Before we jump in, want to talk about Modern Nexus and Card Hoarder, who both sponsor this video series. Modern Nexus hosts these videos both on modernnexus.com and on their YouTube page, which you should go check out. And Card Hoarder loans all of the cards that we play with, so we can play with different decks other than Grixis Control. Everybody loves Grixis Control, but there's lots of other fun things in Modern, and definitely want to get some experience and some content out there with all the different decks, all the sweet things that you can do in the format. Because everybody likes going discard spell into Tarmogoyf into Liliana the Veil, right? Maybe. Alright, so let's jump in. Alright, so the list that we'll be using for this event is very similar to, I guess, the stock Jund list, if there is such a thing. We've got a couple things going on here that might be a little bit different to, I guess, seasoned Jund players, but most of it looks relatively the same. That's kind of the way it goes with Jund. You're really only changing a few cards, if any. The core remains the same because the core is proven to work, and that's the way it is. Its list is based almost entirely on Joseph Herrera's SCG Charlotte winning list. Joe's a friend, so we talked about the list a lot. We had him on my stream to do an interview and some Q&A, and he gave us a lot of insight into his list, and we really haven't changed much from there. So we can go through it. 24 land, pretty standard. I won't really talk much about the mana base. It stays relatively the same. 6 discard spells, 4 lightning bolt, that's all standard. The creature suite, I guess, is the same as well, except we are playing a 1-of Abbot of Keep. Now, if you're not on this train, you need to get on the train. Abbot of Keep, in my opinion, is better than any 4-drop you can play in Modern. It's better than Huntmaster of the Fells, it's better than Outpost Siege, it's better than Olivia Voldaren. Instead of playing a 3/3 for 4 mana that dies to Lightning Bolt, you get to go Abbot into land, or Abbot into Tarmogoyf, or Abbot into discard spell. There really isn't many bad hits that you can get off of an Abbot, and it's a great card. It's card advantage, pulls you ahead. The 2/1 prowess is sweet with all of our removal spells, and it's a good card. It's sweet. We're playing 2 Maelstrom Pulse and 1 Kolaghan's Command. I love Kolaghan's Command, but we can really only play 1. The card's great. I could see cutting another Maelstrom Pulse for the second Kolaghan's Command, but Pulse is good against all of the random things that you're going to find in Modern. Really helps against Lingering Souls tokens, opposing Planeswalkers, random permanents like Outpost Siege from our opponent's side of the board, and random artifacts and for out of Lantern control. The card's great. Jace, Architect of Thought. You could go on and on. Half of the Tron deck. Maelstrom Pulse hits everything, and it's sweet. I like having access to 2, but I could see cutting 1 if the metagame shifts in a certain direction. And the 1-of Tasker of the Golden Fang is horrible when you reveal it to Dark Confidant and die, but that rarely ever happens, and it's sweet. Jund, once it's able to start casting multiple spells in a turn, is when it's able to pull ahead in the mid game, and being able to do that a couple turns down the line for 1 or 2 mana is excellent. Jund as a strategy is all about stripping the opponent's hand of answers and being left behind with something that can take over the game, be it Dark Confidant, Liliana of the Veil, plussing up to ultimate, manlands to beat them in the face with, or a Tassiger, and the card is excellent. Definitely play 1. I don't think you can play 2, unfortunately, but you don't really need it. It's on one hand, it's like a Curve Topper. On the other hand, it's just kind of like an extra creature. But yeah, I don't think you can afford to play 2 with the Dark Confidant, and you never want to at the same time, even though it usually dies. But 1 is a great number to play. I'm very greedy, but I've tried to. You just play 1. Moving on to the sideboard. The best thing I like about the sideboard is the 2 Damnation and 1 Anger of the Gods plan against all the company decks, Elves and Absian Company, and like Naya Company. Damnation is sweet. It's a great card. It really helps us in the Absian semi-mirror. They're all about taking over the game with Lingering Souls and Siege Rhino and stuff like that, and we just get to clean it all up for one card. Damnation is excellent. Outpost Siege is fine. Sometimes you need to have, 1 4-drop against control, and Outpost Siege as an enchantment. Normally, if you can stick it, it gets to stay on the board, and I like it better than, Chandra Pyromaster, just because it's slightly easier to cast, although that doesn't really matter, but I would like my 4-drop to be something resilient that I know is going to stick around. Chandra, they can either attack it with a Gurmag Angler, or burn it out with a couple Lightning Bolts, or like Lightning Bolt plus Kolaghan's Command maybe. Whereas when we're playing towards Outpost Siege as a strategy, like after board trying to go discard into a creature that trades with their removal into something else, into our bomb that we're slamming, I just want the confidence that that bomb is going to stick around. So Outpost Siege can be slow sometimes, and it can often not be enough if we're really behind in the game, but the same can be said of Karanos God of Storms out of Twin boards, and Outpost Siege is great. I think it's worth it. Ancient Grudge is for affinity. You could bring it in against Tron, but the Tron matchup is horrible regardless of what you do. It will help against Lantern Control, now that deck is going to be, as it's just won Grand Prix Oklahoma, people are going to be playing that deck online, and I highly expect to run into it at least once. But yeah, Ancient Grudge is mainly for affinity. It's great. It could be another Kolaghan's Command, but we're already playing a Kolaghan's Command on the board. It's possible that the affinity matchup might be good enough that we don't need it, just with access to the cards that we have in the main deck. And then, bringing in Anger of the Gods, Damnation, Abrupt Decay, Kitchen Finks, we might not need dedicated affinity hate. But I like having access to one. I could see cutting it. It just depends. We might have one card too many against affinity, or we might not. Abrupt Decay as another, catch-all answer in the board. Good against Twin. Bring it in against, decks like, decks that play fast creatures, burn, elves. It's really like, depending on how you want to set up your deck post board, will depend on whether we're going to want this extra Abrupt Decay or not. But this is a holdover from Joe's list. He had one on the board. I haven't seen a reason to cut it, so there it sits. 4 Fulminator Mage to help out the Tron matchup, which is abysmal. I feel like it's almost a can't win matchup. I've been able to steal the matchup a couple times just by going discard into Tarmogoyf into nothing but Fulminator Mages for the rest of the match, but it's definitely rough. We really lean on discard spells and Liliana the Veil, along with trying to find one Fulminator Mage to get us there in the matchup. But yeah, it's bad. I don't know what else to say about it other than that it's bad. Kitchen Finks is an awesome board plan. It lets us aggressively use our Dark Confidants more. Some people cut Dark Confidant against affinity, but based on Joe's suggestion, I keep it in. And I like Dark Confidant against affinity. It's great. Kitchen Finks gives us a little bit of life gain to combat the life loss that we'll be taking from Thoughtseize, Dark Confidant, fetching shocks, things like that. And the card is great. It's great against control because it requires 2 removal spells to handle. It's great against aggro because it gains life and trades with things. The card is awesome. And then we're playing a 1-of Nihil Spellbomb over something like Relic of Progenitus or Leyline of the Void. I like Nihil Spellbomb because against graveyard decks like Living End, Grixis Control, a couple others, you really only ever need one activation out of it. Leyline of the Void, if it's not on your opening hand, it's going to be expensive to cast. The Nihil Spellbomb can cycle. It's good against Griselbrand. It's another deck that I forgot to mention. And something like Relic of Progenitus will exile all the graveyards, so Tarmogoyf will end up being small, whereas with Nihil Spellbomb we get to keep ours. I guess it really just comes down to personal preference whether you like Nihil Spellbomb over Leyline of the Void, but I'm liking the Spellbomb. I like things that draw cards, and given the option, I will always take the cheaper effect. So I think that's about it. We've got a Ghost Quarter in the mana base. I feel like that might be pretty standard. We might not need it just because the Tron matchup is so bad, but it does random good work against Affinity and I believe a few other decks, Merfolk, snagging their Mutavaults and stuff, hitting our own land when they Spreading Seas it to try and fix our mana. So the Ghost Quarter has been fine. It hasn't hurt us too much, but I think that's about it. So let's jump into some games.